third Fragrant Flower installment. We had a fun little mini arc sort of thing go on within the first two episodes, which I think worked themselves out to be really nice. Tell the story that we kind of need to and do introduction, but then reset everything and start from zero once again within our characters, which I think also turned out pretty nice. So I'm really excited to see where we venture forth with their general dynamic and relationship, as well as maybe introducing the other characters into this and opening up the world between the difficulties that each of the two schools seemingly have with each other, and potentially begin to like build that relationship that's needed there, or figure out a little bit more of a common ground, so things aren't as hostile as they typically have continued to be, unfortunately. So I'm excited for that. If you like it all, hit the like and subscribe. They do mean a lot to me. Check out the Patreon for early access as well as timer reactions. Leave any comments about this episode or this series. Is going with the third episode of A Fragrant Flower. Already reached the end. Wonder if this is the same day. Nice. For like all sports, or are you asking or telling us? Oh, I think he's telling us. Is it grade related? I hope it's not. Think we ever get a moment where Rentaro gets to go into the other school? Or is that like prohibited? Because it'd be nice if it was like the same and not as like, I don't know, like special, I think, as they probably assume it would be. And they're like, oh, they really are just like us. So you're assuming? You're assuming? That's not helpful. I don't, but the reward is you get to participate. That is the reward. Thank you. Thank you. Enough to make a man get going. I don't think that's big enough. We'll figure it out. Now, we're gonna have to recruit the outside. Brother, that is not. Thanks, Bob. She might be doing the same thing, though, you know, midterms and all. Come on, buddy, come on. I get that feeling. See, I don't stare at my phone, though. If I send something that I'm like, like I don't know how I'm feeling about it, I won't look at my phone for a long time. Aww. Wait, why am I sad about that? Yeah. Gotta lock in. I like the energy, the determination. Do you have red shoes? Yeah. We're gonna run into her here. Is it simply just doing the work and like reading that's gonna help you though, or do you need like alternative methods to help study? Yeah, right, like you don't even know where to begin. Yeah, don't burn those bridges. Aw. What a guy. What's going on here? Why don't you both go together?
凛太郎も一緒だから俺楽しみなんだよ。
Hmm.
ちゃっちゃと謝って二人連れてくれ。
Okay, you're bringing him here.
敵ないね。
There's plenty of seats with him. Aww.
譲ってくれた。だよね。俺言い損ねちゃった。
Aww. How do you lose what was yours?
ねえ、カオルコ、ここわかる？
Excuse who? Yeah.
ここはこの式に代入してね。
I think we found a new person to teach us.
さすがだわ。
試験勉強だったのか。
何？
頭いいとこかよ。
Is she? I wonder if she's just tutoring.
ああ、また書いてる。
落書きとかするんだ。
It's not that. Even they have fun, huh?
カオルコ、こういうのよく書くよね。うん、息抜き。
They're not that great, but they're cute.
カオルコは絶対学年上位に入らないといけない。
Oh.
でもそれは私が自分から頑張りたいって言ったことだから。
うわ、グリさんすげえな。帰郷の中でもめちゃくちゃ頭良かったんだ。片やっぱここ千鳥でもどうだよ俺。
And then what type of person would you be like to ask her potentially for help or something like that when she's got so much on her plate already, you know?
ダメだったし、赤点回避なんて。
How have you not heard back from him? Where did how long is he taking?
凛太郎くん、
Oh.
ここでお昼寝ですか？
わグリさん、さっきまで中にいたんじゃ。
やっぱり凛太郎くんだったんだ。お久しぶりですね。あ、そういえば割引でせっかく教えてくれたのに。
そんな全然大丈夫です。毎月やってるし。
Yeah, just come by another time.
いいな。その日までにバイトでお金貯めておかないと。
お嬢様なのにバイト？
何ですかそのイメージ。私お嬢様じゃないんです。特待生で帰郷に入ったので。
This is all the stuff I talked about last episode.
これでも1位を保ち続けてるんですよ。
ずっと1位。すげえ。
でも最近は試験勉強のせいで寝不足で、授業中は寝ないようにひたすら手をつねってます。一般家庭の私が名門の帰郷に入れたんです。
Right. Expectations placed by others, but also yourself. It's
父にわがままを言って帰郷に通わせてもらうことになったんです。だから父を裏切るようなことは絶対にしたくない。これは帰郷に通い始めて芽生えたものですけど、私のプライドです。
gotcha.
ファグリさんと関われば関わるほど、俺がどれだけ彼女を色眼鏡で見てきたのか。
Yeah.
いつから俺は自分が嫌だったことを誰かにしちまうやつになったんだろう。嫌だ、こんな自分。勉強教えてくれませんか？俺今度の中間で赤点取ったらやばくて。でも今回だけは取りたくないんです。諦めることにもう。
I'm just afraid what that does for her if she doesn't have time to focus on her own.
でも暇な。
Because she's already got right.
はい、どうぞ。時間が空いたらすぐ連絡します。一緒に頑張りましょう。
Gets me scared too because she seems like the type of person who, well, though we already demonstrated she can say no.
カオルコ。
That's her.
その
No,
人誰？
that's the boy.
スバル。
Subaru.
金髪？外国人か。
Thought it was like
かっけえ。
a hint of blue.
あなたもしかして千鳥の人？もう二度とカオルコに関わらないでくれるかしら。
Oh, bro, this fucking school.
ないのよ、千鳥なんて。ちょっとスバル。大丈夫よ、安心して。私がカオルコを守るから。
No, he good. He good.
そうじゃなくて。
おーい。
She never gets a chance to speak either. Oh no! Oh no! This is God damn it! Yeah, yeah. This is gonna end bad. Just get out of here, dude. Just get out of here.
こいつから帰郷に近づくとは思えねえんだけど。宇佐美。
Technically, he didn't. You're her.
あれあんたどっかで。カオルコに近づかないで。
What a weird reaction.
ねえよ。悪い。体が勝手に動いた。別に宇佐美は近づいただけなのに。なんで
They both did.
たった数秒前のこっちの質問は忘れちゃったの。桔梗って案外頭悪いんだね。
それってカオルコのことも言ってるの？
さあ自分で考えなよ。やっぱ頭悪いね。てかさ、その髪色何？
All right, let's not go all that crazy.
デートには甘そうだしね。お気楽なもんだね。
おい、言い過ぎだ、夏沢。普段のお前はそんなダセえこと言うやつじゃねえだろ。たまたま図書館で見かけたから怖がらせたことを謝ってたんだ。俺から話しかけた。だから一緒にいたんだよ。この二人じゃない。
あの時怖がらせたのって宇佐美じゃない？
よし。
何？
He's apologizing though.
私の方こそごめんなさい。
Cool.
カオルコ。
あの騒ぎの元凶は私です。千鳥の皆さんを不快にさせたこと、ずっと謝りたかった。ごめんなさい。
やめてよ、こんな。誰に見られてるかもわからないのに。
スバルも。
Yeah. Assumptions, ways that you treat people.
桔梗がよくわからなくなった。どうするよ。あの小さい方も猫かぶってたら。人間不信になる。
絶対ないな。
There's no way I could tell them.
謝ってないやついるよな。
まあまあ、僕たちのためだったんでしょ。
さくちゃん。あいつにバカにされるお前らが悪い。ファミレスでなんか食いながら勉強しよう。な、さくちゃん。
I completely forgot too. He brought them here. I wasn't even thinking. I got them all on board.
よくないよ。男の子苦手なのは知ってるけどさ。
男なんてみんな同じよ。カオルコ。
Conversation over here.
なんであの人たちな
Ooh.
んかに謝るの？野蛮で平気で人を傷つけて、それに気づきもしない。バカばっかりで嫌になる。
Yeah, weird, because it seems like brother got hurt for himself in the first time we met.
話したんでしょ？金髪の人と。どんな人だったの？
すっごく優しい人だったよ。他の人たちも悪い人じゃないと思う。
She's gonna be difficult.
と言っても間違える。あんなに夏沢が教えてくれたのに。
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Fuck the studying.
カオルコです。
なんかいつもより声が高い気がする。
今日のことでちょっと電話の方が早いかなと思って。
今日？
ごめんなさい。友達が失礼なことを。本当はいい子なんです。嘘だって思うかもしれないですけど、本当に。
いやいやいや、思ってないです。大丈夫です。
嘘つかせてごめんなさい。話しかけて。
Didn't make him do anything.
気にしないでください。
かばわれた身でこういうのはと思うんですけど、かっこよかったです。ありがとうございました。
かっこ。初めて言われた。やっぱり最近変だ。和栗さんと話してると。夕方
言ってた勉強会のことなんだけどね。土曜はどうかなって思って。
どうかしました？
いや、最近敬語外れちゃうから、すみません、気をつけますね。
いや、敬語なんですか？
私はただのケーキ屋。
Yeah, the general relationship, though, this far has not been anything like that.
和栗さんの中で俺はまだ行きつけのケーキ屋のたまたま話すようになった人ってことか。なんか 急に遠く感じる。俺結構仲良くなってるつもりだったんだな。土曜ですよね。大丈夫です。
じゃあとりあえず朝毛駅集合にしましょうか。
わかりました。
はい、それじゃあ遅くにありがとうございました。
会話終わる。いつも笑ってる和栗さんは今どんな顔して電話してんだろう。俺が今から言うことに和栗さんはどんな顔すんのかな。さ、次からはいいので。敬語次からはつけなくていいから。
He let a whole segment of the conversation go by while he was only thinking about that.
うん。分かった。次からは外すね。じゃあおやすみなさい。
おやすみ。
9 minutes? What the hell happened those other 8 that we didn't get to see?
わかるわけねえだろ。マジではずいこと言っちまった。
緊張した。にやけてたのバレてないかな。
Good thing it wasn't a FaceTime. It would have been awful for you. None of y'all would have been able to stay in frame. Protective. Another in the books, and this is good because it gives us basically, I think, what I was looking for and wanted, which is more showcase on sidecast and people that we're going to look into probably developing and pushing towards understanding a little bit more of what comes from the tension that's built up between the two different schools, as well as developing the characters a little bit and how they fall in line to this sort of trap that everybody else has over the years and just built up these kind of preconceived ideas of how everyone from each school kind of is, and how they almost feed into that, when in reality, whenever we get to see them in the way that their dynamics are in regards to their friends or anybody else, they don't act out in those sort of ways. And this episode perfectly puts that on display, right? We get to see somebody in the last, like, previous episode, even every time we get to see Usami or we get to see somebody like Saku, and each of them are like pretty nice dudes overall from what we get. Energy levels are different, but each of them give off different sort of vibes that you get. And then when you bring in the other school, it's like, oh shit, now they turn into a completely different person of the way that they're dishing this out towards them. And it's fun to see. And we get that as well, even internal like reflection coming from Rintaro, where he's like, all these things I thought that Wagari was like this type of person, or was like this, or I thought everybody from the school was like this, and I'm starting to realize more and more now, the more I speak to her, that's not necessarily the case. And it's all these ideas that you kind of have formed already in your head of why people are acting a sort of way, and then give them the label of like whatever everyone else has probably for years been at that individual school. It all blows up the moment you get this confrontation between them, so they all act out almost in ways that you wouldn't fully expect them to, which is a really fun thing, and I'm excited more so to keep continuously pushing down this until we get a little bit more answers with it. So, and maybe even expand it to a point that other people can kind of be involved and work together. So super excited for when that part actually comes about. But it works perfectly as this gateway into, here are these other characters, let's get to know them and learn about them a little bit more. On top of also bringing in a friend of Wagari, which I think works well because now it gives us somebody else from the school whose experiences may be entirely the same or different than the character that we are growing to kind of understand and keep talking to. So it's fun to get that, to really make our characters and us realize that just because they're projecting this idea onto us of like, this is what everybody from here is like, except this one person, and Wagari seems to be like the outlier almost with it, might not necessarily be the case, because those who kind of surround her and maybe all those at the school are entirely different too, which is what we're going to firsthand hopefully get to explore and see in regards to Subaru, which I think will be good. Subaru seems to be interesting so far. I'm excited to get a little bit more development with her and understand where her feelings lie with a lot of this stuff. she seems at the surface level of where we're at. She seems to be somebody who's overly protective of Wagari, which we get this directly see in regards to a picture of them being younger. So my assumption would be, being as, you know, tiny as she is, she's probably always had to protect Wagari in a way. So she's super protective of her even now to this date, of anybody. Probably doesn't matter if it's, you know, guy or girl getting close to her, is very cautious of the people that she surrounds herself with, which I can understand completely, especially if you've continuously been like that. But the problem is you need to let go at a time and let them kind of grow free and become their own person, which is a little difficult if you're constantly like hanging over them. Another thing she makes a note of is like talking about all men being the same and things like that. And I wonder if that directly ties into the reasons and feelings she has towards being protective of Augury, or if that's literally an issue that she unfortunately has come into, dealing with other men being like, I don't know, whatever her feelings are towards them, just like acting out in a type of way, or bad experiences and things that have happened maybe with her, or she's firsthand seen that like a home life with like parents or something, or siblings or whatever it is, and she's projecting all of that onto these other guys too. So I wonder if that's the case, because then I wonder what her dynamic is in regards to letting, if is she overly protective of just guys getting closer, or is she overprotective of anybody, which is where I think my initial assumption was going. But now I'm thinking about it, maybe it could just be a guy thing, which is why she especially is harsh on the other school. I don't entirely know. We'll have to wait and see, I guess, a little bit more, and see if we ever get any interactions with other female characters that we get to tie into this a little bit more. But we'll wait it out and we'll end up seeing. But she seems interesting so far for where we're going. Although I will say it feels a little bit almost predictive in a way of like, we're going to show her off to be this character who doesn't seem to be like, I don't know, that understanding or great of a person, and seems to be a little hot-headed at times. And then we're going to show a side of them that makes you be like, oh, they're actually not like this at all, which, to be fair, fits perfectly in line with the themes of the show in general. So it properly like works. But I do hope that there's a little bit more like depth or things in regards to her that makes me be like, she's unique, or she's very different as a character, as opposed to just everything that I just laid out is exactly why she's the way she is. You know what I mean? Because we have gotten that a few different times with things in this series, where so far they're not really presenting like new ideas or standout things in regards to relationships or individuals, or even the genre, I guess, that it falls in line with here, that feel entirely like a driving force. Almost like if you were to give a recommendation and you were to be like, what sells you, like what is different about this show that's not in other things, it's kind of hard to pinpoint that one thing so far through a few episodes, but besides for the fact that they execute, which I guess would be my thing. Execution has been really good through the 3 episodes that we've gotten, and if it continues to be that way, that will be the thing. It's like any other series, you could find the exact same sort of dynamics, maybe not all of them at once, but most of them kind of relevant within it, but they execute it at a higher level, which is definitely a praise and a reason to do that. But it's not really like a thing that sells as well as just like a simple thing that you can tell other people, because people will still be more drawn in terms to like a specific character or character design or character type. That makes it a little bit more difficult to stand out amongst a crowd of an already overpopulated sort of genre. You know, I like the little build up with Usami here to be like you can't participate within the sports festival that we're having due to the fact that your grades. It gives us like a little thing to kind of work towards. And is a sports festival, because the more I was thinking at first, I wasn't certain. But now I'm thinking like, it might literally just be when they go outside and they do like the sporting events. Yeah, I think that's literally all it is. It's nothing. Okay. Because when I was thinking of the festivals, I'm thinking of like the culture festivals and things like that they do. But I kind of forgot that they do sports festivals in terms of this. And I've seen this plenty of times before, but I was thinking it was like entirely different. My mind immediately went to like each of the individual like sport teams, or like they do something. And I was trying to like formulate what it is. But no, this makes perfect sense. I don't know why I was confused. I've seen this plenty of times before. Of course, the guys especially really want to be involved in this and want to participate. So it makes sense. The reward should be that they're participating, but the ice cream is sweet. I like that he gives them a little bit of something else. It's not good not wanting to participate and be involved in this at all, due to the fact that he helped them before and they still struggled and failed and are entirely ungrateful almost for why it's happening, which forces this unfortunate rift that makes them have to go study on their own. Bugger's been a little bit distant from us up to this point, but seemingly has other reasons for it, which we get to see in regards to like the studying and her own pride kind of getting in the way. I like him trying to send the text and like holding it out and being like, struggling to actually do it. Figure keeps hovering over, keeps like pulsing back and forth, but not actually able to press it until he finally commits to it. I completely get that feeling. But then him just sitting there like staring at it and be like, come on, like, come on, answer. That's the part I don't get. I usually would just be like, let me not look at it at all and hope that they did respond. She's got some other stuff going on though. So we go to the library's forms of separation. And it's hard because especially when you're people who struggle, you're not going to have a way to properly teach yourself and to stay focused on what you're doing. And you kind of need that figure, which is why we need somebody like Sakura to come in and help us. And you're burning those bridges. It makes it kind of hard for it. So yeah, you got to go apologize. So his plan is to apologize and bring them back. Why we couldn't just go to the school and study with them if that's what they were doing there makes no sense, but it works as a plot way to involve our characters a little bit more together. I like how these girls were just like, what the hell? I think he's just letting us have it. And we listen in on the conversation a little bit until he gets caught. And I like how he keeps uncovering these new things. Like, damn, they actually do these things that every other normal person does, continuously places them on a pedestal like they're doing something that's entirely separate or different. They might be a little bit smarter or more determined to do, their studies and whatever else it is. It doesn't mean that they don't go through the same hardships at times or even things that you can't begin to comprehend because you're not within their general world. Look who decides to be out here and have a conversation with us. And I like how he brings it up even. Like, it feels something that he's capable of doing. And I know he catches himself and he's like, damn, I just keep like placing these preconceptions I have onto it. But I like the idea that he did talk about this before, that he's not too like certain about what's going on. He doesn't fully get them, and she seems to be like this outlier almost with them, or within her own school. So this seems like something that he's able to talk, like speak out loud about, like, damn, I didn't notice this, where he would have almost been like hesitant to actually like say something like this before, due to the reaction that he got like initially at the cafe the last time, right? So now he's capable of like speaking out and being like, damn, I didn't know this, or I didn't know this, and actually making these sort of statements and questioning these things, whereas before he did it and then it like created this awful reaction. But due to the conversation that they were able to have between each other and to restart this thing almost fresh, it allows him to be a little bit more open with this and express the things that he doesn't know and actually capitalize and learn a little bit about it, as opposed to just simply assuming consistently. Right? They're not that well off. And this is what I talked about last time. She got through there with a scholarship and she couldn't let her grades slip. And I like her reasoning for it too, right? She doesn't want to betray herself, but also him and his trust that he kind of placed within her to actually attend this. I come from an entire normal family. Like, I'm not what you're putting me on this pedestal to be. I'm not like maybe most of the or majority of the other people potentially at the school. I'm different in that, right? So I have to work even harder to obtain these things and to stay at the status that I'm at. And unfortunately, has to mix it in with working and paying attention to, studies and cutting into her sleep and whatever it is that she's doing. And it shows him this entire different side, something that he wasn't fully expecting, and almost gives him a understanding of like what is going to make her stand out or be so unique or special here, which I think is cool. And it also is like such a weird thing to put him in, because he later comes around to the idea to be like, I need you to help me, which I would assume, like, personally, after hearing all these things from her, I wouldn't even be able to bring that up. I would have just been like, you're all right, you got a lot on your plate. I would never even ask you this, to use up your free time to help the likes of me. It works out in her favor because she really enjoys the fact that she's going to be able to utilize an excuse to spend more time with them. But at the same point, it could potentially be really bad, if that's not where they were sort of heading, like, and she didn't want to end up doing this. It could just seem a little bit almost selfish of you to make that sort of request. But it is exactly what she wanted. And I like how he reflects on it and his friends and realizes the importance that these things are to them, and that it almost is to him to spend that time with them too. Really cool. And look who decides to show up. We get SUBARU, who they describe having, like, what did they say, silver or white hair, but this is like green or blue. Like, this is not that color. So I don't know. I like it though. It's unique. Very different coloring than we're used to. Do me a favor and now speak. And immediately jumping on top of, the type of person he is. And this is, I mean, she probably noticed the school thing right away, but making the assumption of just seeing somebody talk to him, which is weird because also the positioning that they're in, like he's sitting down at this bench and she's like standing over him almost. It's not the other way around. Like I get it if she was sitting there and this like dude who's 6'5" is intimidating and standing over like looking down on you, like I would get the urgency there, but the roles are completely reversed here, and her still having that general reaction indicates like a lot more is going on there. And of course it just gets even worse. We likely have the experience or ability for each of them to explain what's kind of going on and maybe make her a little bit more understanding of it. And instead it just turns really bad because look who decides to show up, and Asami's going to immediately speak his mind with whatever is happening. And the instant reaction of just seeing like somebody take a single step forward, and it's like, look at this, her eyes closed, she's like, what the fuck? Like she flinches almost in this moment, it feels like, and then immediately goes into like a protective, like, I gotta get active and goes to put a stop. But Rindora does the exact same sort of thing, which is super interesting. And I'm excited for this dynamic because Saku doesn't hold back at all. And he doesn't give that vibe like he would be the type to actively like be mad or say these sort of things, which we even get. Like, what's going on here? Like, this isn't like you. So the fact that he gets so angry here is so interesting. Like, he stoops super low here, which I'm kind of happy that he does. I think it adds a little bit more to him. It doesn't allow him to just be like a pushover. And it demonstrates a similar sort of side to him that we're already getting to see in regards to SUBARU. So I think that's fun. And then we create a sort of lie to make the story sound a little bit stronger or just better on his own end to protect his friends and also kind of protect himself, and also just to protect Wagari in a way, place all the blame almost essentially on you. And it creates an easier out to be able to get out of this conversation, which takes back Subaru a little bit too, because she's not fully expecting this. And then to get somebody like Sabi to step in here and be like, yo, my bad too. Really, she has no clue how to react here, especially when Wagari comes in, she's like, yo, my bad too. Like, what the fuck do you do? Immediately runs away. Now we all got to work together and study, though. They're the worst, without care in the world. He's a really nice person. And she just can't believe it. But then it's also like I wonder, like, this facial reaction's interesting because it's like a fuck, like I'm tearing you away from people who could potentially be nice or good for you, or if it's like a fuck, she's falling into the trap of believing that these people are okay. She's getting manipulated over them. But like, I don't know. I like his hair being down. I hope he rocks it a little bit more like that. And then have a fun conversation, I think, between the two, which is really good. And I like how she ends up bringing up her reasoning, or like where their dynamic almost stands, and her reasoning for like wanting to be polite when approaching him or talking to him, and how formal that she's being, and him immediately just being like, oh, that's it, that's the extent of where we go. Damn, I think I was thinking something else, but in regards, she doesn't feel me in that sort of way, and it just ruins him, and he gets stuck for a few minutes so he can overthink something to just be like, hold on, I gotta tell her this before we end. It's funny. And a lot of the character animation in itself was really strong, especially within this. Him being able to show off like a more closed in, shy sort of side, indicating and showcasing a lot of different like movement things, like his hands, the way he's like kind of clenching things at times, the way that his feet go, how like shy and like balled up almost he becomes within his own positioning that he ends up taking here, the difficulties that he is having to kind of process what's going on and experience this thing for the first time, I think is fun. But he's finally able to say that he'd be very excited. And look at her. And I like that we do get a little bit from her this episode in regards to like her conversation with Subaru, or even we get to see it here of her own thoughts of what's going on, her smiling and the facial expressions and everything that she ends up making. Really good. Because it's like we're not hiding it too, where you end up going through a lot of different series where it's like trying to hide like, oh, does she feel, does she not? Like how is this relationship developing, when fully it's obvious to us from the beginning here, and we're just kind of playing into when the characters can kind of like grow up enough to get into that position of progressing it a little bit more. So far so good. I really like it, really having fun. I like bringing the characters in, and I hope that we can get a lot more of that, expose us to them. And like, this is the perfect way to almost do it. We get enough one-on-one time between the two to develop them and express some new ideas in regards to each of them individually and their relationship, and at the same time involve other friends and give focus onto them a little bit too. I think it's a really good balance that was struck here, that if they continue to do something along those lines, I'm just going to absolutely love every single second of this. So I'm very excited for more. Check out the Patreon for early access and timers for the next episodes. If you like this at all, hit the like and subscribe. They do mean a lot to me. Feel free to check out the videos channel. If you comment for the series, I'll be back for the 4th episode next Wednesday. I hope you guys have a great one.